Here we go. It is March 20th, 2020, 320, 2020, 2020, 2020. We are on day 5 of our daily, except for Sunday, live streams. Just want to thank everybody for coming in today. We're going to let people trickle in. A couple of things to mention. Some free stuff. The music tech industry continues to uh, rain down free stuff and deals for us to take advantage of in our time of need, our time of need for distraction. And so Native Instruments has made one of their sample libraries, Analog Dreams, I think is what it's called. They've made it free for everybody. Um, yes, let me just respond to this. Okay, so what we're doing today is we are recreating some sounds, right? We're going to take apart a couple of sounds. We're going to paste the links for these sounds in the chat so you guys can go and listen to them in an effort to avoid copyright strikes and things like that. I would love nothing more than to be able to go back and forth live stream with you on these tracks, but I think that would instantly get us copyright stricken. Maybe you guys can like inform me if you know what that would really mean. I'm trying to figure that out. It seems like it changes daily. So anyway, free stuff. Analog Dreams from Native Instruments is now free, at least until the end of March. So jump on that one as soon as possible. Voltage Modular has also offered their virtual modular synthesizer bass collection, which I think is usually probably 99 bucks or something like that, for free. Um, and so you can download that. That's from Voltage Modular. I think it's Cherry Audio is the name of the company. So just something to spend some time with in a modular environment to learn things. I think there's kind of a walkthrough type of deal on the Voltage Modular app. Like it kind of teaches you modular synthesizers and synthesis. Excuse me. And if um, if not, then come on back in here and we'll do a day on Voltage Modular. Right? Come back in here and tell me what to get. Edit the video and mute the song to avoid getting it pulled when you repost. Ah, there you go. That's a good idea. Maybe we'll try this out. That's not a bad idea. That means I'll have to come back through and hit the timestamps, but maybe we'll do that. And as long as I don't get a copyright strike, that's what I'm worried about. I probably wouldn't even dispute it because that's how you, I guess, really get in trouble. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so we'll get into one of those. Michael, I don't see the video link. I see the time, but I don't see the video link. So if you can repost that in or paste that in, maybe it's not coming through. If not, you guys can send me those links on what is it? Instagram. That would work. I can see those on Instagram. Uh, Mila is sending me sound recreation ideas right now on Instagram. So we've got a couple ideas coming through. Just to let you guys know, hey, Trip. Hey, what's up, Alex? Good to see you. We got a few Icon Collective people in here. We got a few Point Blank people in here. Great to see all of you guys, and thanks so much for coming in. Wambra, not ignoring you. I saw you were next. I love your emojis as always. Just got this yesterday in the mail. This is the dot trigger and gate sequencer from DNI Pro. We're going to look at this on probably Monday, maybe probably Monday. I want to give it a little bit of time to, uh, what am I trying to say? Learn it. That would probably be sensible. But this is a three-channel Euclidean rhythm sequencer or pattern sequencer, gate patterns, trigger patterns, those types of things. So we're going to dig into this very soon. This was sent to us by Konstantin from Ukraine, and I would have, of course, gladly said yes regardless, but it's always nice to try to rebuild a little bit of international relations between countries that have had some uncomfortable moments in the last year. So really glad to take a look at this. Also, you can go and check out Constantine's SoundCloud. He is an extremely talented techno DJ and producer. I believe his production name is Lobanov K. I'll type that into the uh, chat here. Lobanov K. I found a great Mix Mag DJ mix of his, and it's from a festival last year, I believe. Really great stuff. So, if you're into techno, so okay, here we go. Um, Michael, I still don't see a link from you. We're gonna start out, I think, with this Joey Beltram track, and just to be clear, I would love for you guys, not just today, but going on into the foreseeable future. Hey, Dennis from Greece, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. For the foreseeable future, if you guys have sounds, or discover rather, sounds that you'd like to recreate in, um, what am I saying here? From songs that you love, sounds that you want to recreate from songs that you have been inspired by and you want to know how to make that sound, send me those links. Send me time stamped, ideally, links with the sound at that point that you want to recreate, and we'll do it together. I think a really important part of this process is being able to listen back and forth, one and then the other. Energy Flash is the one we're going to do. Glad that that's a favorite. And I just got your message about reconstructing a kick drum. That's another great idea. So, uh, yeah, this is something going forward. I think Fridays are going to be at least Fridays will be our sound recreation day, or Q&A, sound recreation, whatever you guys want to ask, whatever you guys want to talk about. This is going to be the day. So you don't have to wait until Friday to send me your ideas or your sounds. Though, if you really want to give me a challenge, you'll send them to me live while we're on the show. This is a fly by the seat of my pants type of thing, and I might get some of them wrong. And the more complicated sounds you send me, the more challenged I might be, and the more likely I am to fall on my face. So if you want to see that live on camera, then send me some sounds. All right. Um, and that's for the foreseeable future. All right. Send them to me via Twitter. You can send them to me via email, voltagecontrollab@gmail.com. You can send them to me on Instagram message, direct message. So, Wambra, by the way, I think it was Wambra who asked, those are two cats back there. And just so you guys can see this situation, excuse the dirty floor. There's two cats back there. Those two play nonstop, and then they battle, and then they curl up together. And then over here we got another one down in his box. You guys will rarely see all three of them together in this room because they get a little bit nervous when people are over here. So when I don't know They love Victor, but they still get a little bit nervous when the cameras go on. Okay, good enough. Okay. Yeah, one of them. It looks like the blanket is one of them back there, but that's just that's just a blanket. Okay, so yes, definitely down to try some dubstep, Christian. Some of these sounds, I think, also, I have to say, I'll put this caveat on this whole process as well. This is a process that um, my main goal is to show you how we can go through this process together, how we can analyze a sound and consider the possibilities of how it's been made, and get hopefully a whole world of possible sounds out of that as a starting point, right? Sometimes, especially with dubstep, it might be hard to know exactly how they got that sound. There might be quirks. Um, so let's see. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm just typing back here. I have to mute the video later after the video is made. So just shoot it on over. Synths and cats, right? We got to have trying to like provide a healthy mix here, right? Um, so, and the cats, by the way, are named after famous synth developers. We have Moog, we have Xena. Xena is the black and white cat sleeping back there next to Moog, named after uh, Janus Xenakis, developer of granular synthesis. And down in the box is Surge. Enough said. All right. Huh. I guess it doesn't like YouTube links being sent through the chat. Let's just make sure it's not coming through. Not coming through on Instagram yet. Okay. But yeah, maybe I'll tell you the history of the cats on another show. That'll be a whole other show. Um, all right. So we're going to take a look at this Joey Beltram track first. This is called Energy Flash. This is a classic. And this sound starts at 46 seconds in. Let's see if I can actually paste this link in for you guys. Can you guys see that link? Let me know. Okay, we're going to hop ahead to around 46. And this is a wah wah sound or something to that effect. Let's look back at the notes. Okay, yeah, a wah wah sound at 46 in Energy Flash. So let's listen. This is going to challenge us all. All right. And I highly encourage you guys to share your thoughts, what you're hearing, right? Cat named MOSFET. Aw. Okay, so you guys can see that link. Perfect. So again, 46 seconds in on this Joey Beltram track, Energy Flash. Let's listen to it. Let's see how long we can play this before YouTube drops the hammer on us. Okay, everybody hear that? I think it's that wow, 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 right? Something like that. We can go right back in here. Right? Okay. Michael's on to something there. Sounds like a 303 with accents, ties, and slides. That's where we're going here. All right, let's get on to. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do probably most of these sound recreations on Ableton. This isn't necessarily the only way we can do it. We can do some of these things on the modular. Maybe at times when it makes sense, we will do that on the modular. But I think we're talking kind of quick and dirty It's more about the technique and the tools we use than it is about the particular synthesizer. So the pieces inside of that thing are probably the most important part. Let me switch back so that I can see what you guys are telling me. VM Sky, what's up? Yes, Native Instruments is giving away Analog Dreams, which is a sample collection for Contact or Contact Player, based on kind of the '80s synth sound era. I don't know, something like that. I think they reference Stranger Things in there, right? Okay, now we're going. So we got some recommendations here. It sounds like a 303, square wave with a filter, LFO or envelope. I think we're going to look at an envelope. So we're already hearing some things, right? And if we are tempted to think this might be a 303, it might make sense for us to look at a 303 or consider what tools are present in a 303, right? What elements are there when we hear or even examine the interface for a 303? And there's only two wave shapes. It's a square wave or a sawtooth wave, one or the other. That's it, right? There are some particularity in terms of the way that the sequencer works, especially the way the filter works. So let's take, we could take something like wavetable. Any square wave, I think, is going to start to get us in the right direction anyway. So let's take wavetable, and it's going to load up. And we can dial in a square wave. Okay, there might even be like a 303 square wave if we dig through the wavetable, retro maybe something in here. No, maybe vintage. See, in here are a bunch of wavetables that are from classic synthesizers, right? OB6, Moog, the Jupiter, the JX10, Juno 6. So in here we see there's actually uh, um, some wave shapes, some wave tables related to classic synthesizers. Let's see. Did this go through? No, Michael, the link is not coming through for some reason. Send it to my Instagram. That way I can see it there. Anyway, we're gonna go for sloppy square might be interesting. I kind of want to know it. Okay, it's just kind of a rounded square. That's okay. We'll just go back to a basic square because that's most likely what we're all gonna have. And then I see some ideas in there: comb filter and resonance for 303. We might even be able to get something in the range using a low pass filter. Ableton has these additional modes in here. The PRD tends to have a little bit of the quality of the 303 filter. So, we can try to find the right octave range. Okay, maybe we're getting in there. We can go back and check our pitch in a second. Maybe we want a nice, uh, really noticeable low pass filter, 24 dB. We'll try that. Um, this is kind of a wah-ish sound, so we might give it kind of a little bit of a softer attack. Though on a 303, we don't really have attack control, so we'll see how that works. The wow effect is really going to come from a filter envelope, right? Somebody had mentioned LFO or uh, um, LFO or envelope on the filter. So what if we take envelope 2 here, and we're going to click on the frequency knob. Here in the matrix on, oh, don't have Instagram. Try sending me an email, Facebook Messenger. Those will work. I think we're connected on Facebook. Or are you not on Facebook either? You could send it, yes, try sending it via email, voltagecontrollab@gmail.com or joe at voltagecontrollab. Either of those will work. And then, okay, so we selected the filter frequency. We'll now assign the envelope a little bit of motion here. Now, as we click and drag here, we're of course assigning the amplitude of the filter envelope, the intensity of the filter envelope, how high it's going to turn this knob up and then back down to its current position. Of course, if we dialed it into the negative range, we get this to turn down and back up as the envelope attacks and then decays. We're using an attack decay envelope to begin with. This is for an instrument like the 303, which is got short percussive, like it's a sequencer, right? It's got a sequencer built into it, and if we want to play sequences, we need fairly short envelope shapes, right? We're not going to have a lot of sustain happening on fast 16th note sequence type of sound. And the 303 gives us what is it? The slide, I think they call it, right? The effect where one note effectively glides into the next. In a sense, it's a sort of sustain from one note to the next note. If we have the same pitch, then it just sounds like a long held note. But attack decay envelopes are going to be really useful for these sequenced sounds. So even if the sound in the track that we're listening to isn't like a 16th note acid bass line or something, we're using something that we've learned or that we might inherently know about the 303. And if we don't know this, the wise thing to do would be to look at the interface of the 303, right? Sound from the DAW is much louder. Thank you. Let me turn this down a little bit. That's going to turn that down. I'll just turn down the master. Never turn down your master in a project, but for this, we'll just bring it down. Okay, let's try this out. Oh yeah, and then I accidentally left this into the negative range, so we'll turn this up a bit. Okay, let's go back and listen to the original one more time. At 46 on the Joey Beltram track. Okay, and now we need to tighten up this envelope, and we need to tweak the envelope, of course, too. So we're going to crank the resonance here. Okay, let's listen back again. Okay, so no attack, right? This is what we were saying. There's no attack on that envelope. It's just... Okay, and let's listen back to this again. We might overdrive this. Let's turn down the level again. Go back to our matrix. Let's just edge this up a little bit. Okay, and we'll go back and double check that sound again. Tighter. think we need lots of reverb. Is it entirely wet? Interesting idea. Stream buffering. We're having problems. I'm not getting any errors yet, fortunately. Okay, cool. Let's see. Does sound kind of wet. Let's listen to that original one more time. I think you might be onto something with this reverb. Let's see. Might be reverb. Might be a kind of a longer decay with a sharper slope, something like that. Let's see. Dennis, you're a nice guy. Maybe we could throw on another low pass filter after this. Does sound like there's maybe even a quiet delay or something on there. Not chorus. Oh, we can get rid of this channel strip for now too. We don't need that. Okay. I mean, we might need something like that. Yeah, still need more of this whininess. There we go. We needed to push that resonance up. Now, whenever we're increasing the resonance of something, be careful. Especially on our normal filters. This is a filter put into PRD mode, which if we look at the Ableton info here, by the way, each of these is a different type of filter inside of any filter that you can find in Ableton. The PRD filter, if we hover over this, a ladder circuit without resonance limiting. And that, if I'm correct, is pretty darn close to a 303 filter. And we don't want that much feedback. Something like that. We could try some reverb on there too. Let's put a little reverb in there. Okay, we'll double check again. Okay, still maybe going a little bit high. You know, I think at this point we're talking about this maybe moving around a little bit. Slightly slower attack. Let's see. Got to open up the hood on Wavetable, see all its beauty. You want to see the glory of Wavetable, do you? There we go. Okay, so what else do we have here? Finally made it to a live show. Jeff, thanks so much for coming in. Everybody who's come in the last few minutes, thanks so much for joining us. Let me reload my chat because this sometimes happens. I think we're really close. Maybe we need to push the drive a little more. drive plus resonance. Yeah, okay. I think we got pretty darn close on that one. Let's see. All right. Cream distortion needed. That's kind of what the drive is doing, but maybe we could use some afterwards too. Yeah, and then it seems like maybe that envelope opens up. We get that glide going or slide. Okay, just a little more. Filter needs envelope mod to make it wow. That's exactly right. And maybe we need to also map that to the low pass filter a little bit. Or the high pass filter, excuse me. Get this variable band pass thing going. Yeah, shorter decay time. All right. Well, I think we got pretty close to that. And if we did this with a proper 303, we could probably get or like a 303 emulator, right? You could try the Roland Cloud 303. Alex recommended a great 303 up there that he's shown me before. The what was it called again, Alex? It was the I missed it. I had to reload. Um, Audio Realism ABL3 for a good 303. Could try it. There's reactor effects, things like that. Okay, that was pretty close, I think. You can slam me all you want if it's not close enough. Let's try this one. Let's see what track this is first. No, no, no. Quiet. Okay, let me type this one in. This is Leibniz 2 simple. I'm going to let's see if this will come up. I'll send you guys a link. There it is. Classic loop there. Got that James Brown sample material. That's is that the right track? That doesn't seem right. Is that right? Maybe. Okay, yeah. But we're going to 1 minute 8 seconds. And we're looking for the bass sound. We're going to go over to track 2 now. Let's get rid of this channel strip. And okay. Now, just another word on that last one. Sometimes the instrument does matter, especially if we can identify it as being a specific instrument. So, with the wavetable, we might not be able to get more than 95, 98% of the way there, at least without trying a different maybe wave shape or something like this. But going right to the instrument. If we know what instrument it is, if we can ask what instrument it is, if that's another thing. If you don't know what instrument it is, come on in here. We can try to figure that out. Another thing that we could do to try to figure that out would be to do a search and say, what synths did Joey Beltram use? Help if I spelled his name right. And if we look that up, then we might find discussions about the instruments that were popular back then, right? The untold story of Joey Beltram on Vice, right here. Here's an article, even talking about the how did he go from Energy Flash to collaborating with Laid Back Luke? Through a little bit of research, we might discover how he created music back in the old days, right? Top five synth riffs, Energy Flash, sheer repetitive riffage, possibly 303. This is just looking at the basic link descriptions, right? We might get a lot of information by just doing some not so in depth, but maybe in depth research on the internet, right? So, and if we want to really know and be able to be an expert in the things that we're trying to do, we should probably be doing some research anyway, right? If we want to be the go-to resource for whatever style it is, we need to do an abundant amount of research so that we can speak substantively on the subject. So, okay, let's check out this track. All right.
Two, three.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? I think uh, we're dealing with a house music track. I would say something to that effect, right? And in house music, we tend to find more realistic ish instruments, things that may be um, augmentations of actual instruments from maybe recorded from an old funk track, maybe played live in the studio, maybe influenced by something from a classic track. To me, this sounds like an electric bass with maybe a filter on it, a nice fat filter. We could probably synthesize it as well. In fact, the 303 was originally designed to be a bass. What's the word I'm looking for? A bass synthesizer. It was meant to be a jazz guitarist's bass accompaniment. And so, with the rudimentary tools they had available at the time, they kind of synthesized something that sort of sounds like a bass. And if you tweak it, it can kind of sound like an electric bass, like that kind of bow, bow effect. But so we have a couple of options here, right? Maybe we'll try two because I think trying out a real instrument, especially when we're dealing with a style that what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Adopts real instruments into the family with electronic instruments, um, as opposed to techno, for instance, where you don't see a lot of real instruments, uh, uh, um, you know, on stage or in the studio. Hey Ed, what's up, Div Kid? Good to see you guys here. Um, and okay, let's see what we can do with this sound. Now we're gonna try maybe Contact has a lot of realistic ish basses. Um, and then we'll synthesize one. And yeah, I think all of you guys are on the point here in terms of sine wave subs, right? That inherently introduces some question of how can we make this sine wave bass audible in while still remaining in that bass range, right? Okay, so let's go into Contact real quick and There's probably a lot of things we could try out in Contact, and these are the libraries I have currently installed. And look at that, it actually went right to bass for me. That's not that's because I was previously looking at bass sounds. But inside of the Contact Factory library, even, we have band instruments and these band basses. Now, if you have Contact through Complete or something like this, you might have additional, more focused bass instrument libraries. I have them. I just don't have them installed because these are pretty good. And it's not like in this particular case we need some really realistic bass flourishes or something like that. We don't need like bass slides and all this, live bass flavor per se. We just need something that kind of sounds like a bass instrument, and then we might even filter it more bassy. So I would say any of these might be an option, maybe except for the upright bass. The upright bass is probably not the right thing. But let's take a funk bass. This would probably be something towards the line of what's the word I'm looking for? Fender P bass, jazz bass. You guys know what the classic funk bass is. Music Man is a classic funk bass. If you have the Contact libraries, the base is basically the Music Man library. So let's try this out. So it goes actually a couple of notes lower than a bass. Let's listen back to the frequency range that we're working with here. So it's playing like tritones. Maybe this is too slappy. That's strange. That pop bass is like tuned down. What happened there? Okay, there we go. Mm. That sounds like it's a little closer. Let's turn off the reverb. Okay, we could turn down the noise. That's kind of the sound of the bass being played. A little bit cleaner. We could throw just a basic auto filter from Ableton or any other low pass filter. Something like that. Might drive it a little bit, saturate it a little bit after the fact. That might be more mixing than anything. Let's listen to the original again. Okay, so keep in mind that the thumping is kind of coming from the kick drum, not the bass here, and it might not even be might just be a long held bass like this. Yeah, a little bit of saturation now, right? Not a clear sine wave. That's where the complexity comes in if we do this with a synthesizer. So, now maybe we could add a little bit of saturation, just a teeny bit, not too much. We can always dial it back with the output gain knob here. We could overdo it. This is probably advisable when we're doing mixing, tone shaping stuff like this. That's obviously too much. Still a little too much. Could try a different algorithm. So that's okay. My feeling is that this is a sound that would be lightly side chained in that example. It's subtly side chained. It's not like your big room, full on in your face uh, um, brick wall side chaining necessarily. But um, let's try it with a synthesizer. Okay, we did it with a bass instrument. Let's try it instead with a. Let's just do it with a nice clean sine wave. We could use wavetable, and again, we know the notes now. A mix with a sine, adjusting its waveform slightly, usually like a saw up an octave on top. If it's filtered, it gives some just a bit of resonance. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. If we're going to heavily filter it with a low pass filter, like we were doing a moment ago, then we might want to push this wave a little bit towards the more complicated side. Right. This is where we start to introduce harmonics. And that's what's maybe going to give us some of the warmth that we can shape with that filter. We might still want to do a little bit of distortion or saturation or something like that, but just to be able to get an inkling of that stuff happening up in the upper frequency ranges. But this is mainly for like the sound systems that don't have the bass. We want them to still know, oh, there's bass down there, right? There's an inkling of something present, and that way they can go to the club knowing that they're going to get the full experience from that proper sound system, or the club or the festival or wherever they go to get their sound system kicks. So if we do it with just the sine wave, we might increase the sustain on our volume envelope. So we got this nice full sustain. And let's just watch our level here. Right? If they really wanted this to be a sub, it would be down an octave. Now that's a sub. But to me, it sounds more like it's up here. We could confirm. I mean, we could turn on another oscillator, another sine wave. Turn on. Oh, here. Let's give you guys the full experience here. Okay, so two sine waves. We can take one, shift down arrow, down an octave. But I don't. That's not what I hear. I hear the thump coming from the kick drum. That's where the is coming from. So okay, we'll also put this into monophonic mode because we don't want these unwanted. We don't want unwanted chords hitting between the end of one note and the beginning of the next. Well, right, that's much better. And okay, and what were we gonna do now? Oh yeah, we're gonna maybe. Oh wait, what did I just do? Ah, my mod wheel got pushed up somehow. Okay, so maybe what we can do, let's turn the filter way down. Let's make it a 24 dB filter, low pass. Here, very subtle difference. Right? Very subtle difference between. You hear it more now because I opened that filter up. I am playing A and E flat. It's a tritone, 6 semitones. And it's probably A, let's see, 3, I think. So it's A1, I believe, and D sharp or E flat 1. Love that tritone. It's my favorite interval, especially for bass music. The most boring wavetable so far, right? Or is wavetable in general boring? I think it's probably somewhere signed to triangle, but we could never use wavetable again if you guys hate wavetable. We could do all of this inside of Serum or Massive or in the synthesizer, in the hardware, right? This is the point really is that there's some simplicity here that gives us, for the most part, aside from maybe sounds like that previous one that might come from a very particular instrument or something like that. Um, but yeah, neutron, right? If you I think any most of our synthesizers are going to have a sine wave, except for our subtractive synthesizers, which is most of our synthesizers, I guess. But state variable oscillator, oscillatot. That's a loving laugh at a great misspelling, I have to say. Okay, let's do one more listen to this thing, and then we'll listen. Is there a little bit more beef there? Okay, this is where hyper focusing and hyper listening on the sound becomes really important. And if we don't do that, we might miss out on important elements. So, okay, let's go back. Okay, we could do the like a pseudo side chain on this if we uh, prefer to do it here as opposed, yeah, LFO on the volume, exactly, right? This is where we could use, I would say let's not use a looping envelope. Let's just use a sawtooth wave. If you notice, when we change the shape of a sawtooth wave, we get a slightly different shape here. Something like that might work, right? We could also try a triangle wave. As we shift the triangle wave, we get ramps, this type of thing, right? Maybe we'll go with our normal sawtooth wave. And here's our amp. This is our volume, right? And we have an envelope that's dedicated to the amp. Okay, we're keeping that nice and loud so we can just hold one note. And then we're going to take LFO1 and we can maybe turn it into the negative range here. Let's set it to clock sync up here in the upper right corner. So this is like BPM mode, right? The little R is turned on to re-trigger this LFO. Every time we play a note, it's going to start over again. Probably doesn't need to be that drastic, right? Sounds more like a... Oh, we're on eighth note rate, so let's change that to quarter notes. And notice that it's starting in the center of the wavelength, right? The wave starts here and goes to here. So we kind of start at 0 and go down and then jump all the way back up. And 0 is going to be like half volume. So we might want to offset this thing by 180 degrees or so. Now, if we had mapped this to 100%, in the positive, right? Then we jump to full volume when we start, and we drop down to to 0 volume. It's silence effectively, though we hardly have any silent moment in there. Kind of the opposite of what we want. We want this thing to go quiet and then ramp up. Kind of the opposite of a kick drum. So we could take this into the negative range. Now we hear some problems in there, right? Our timing has to be really good. It's also not nearly that drastic in the example. But now, another thing we could try is maybe a slightly different filter type, one of our non-clean filters in wavetable. Or we could try saturation. We just overdrive it a little bit. You hear those weird little clicks every once in a while, and um, this is a byproduct of using an LFO and not having our notes timed. I'm playing these notes by hand. So if we were to draw these notes onto a clip, or if we were to use side chaining, then this would be a little bit more subtle and I think interactive with whatever sound we want, right? So yeah, awesome visual. I have to agree with you there. It's gives us a nice layout. We also have, there's this other view, which with this wavetable doesn't look so hot, but something like that. Yeah, going into the wormhole, right? Something a little bit different. Octave bass, meaning there's another tone an octave lower. Is that what you're saying, Jeff? I think no, because if we could try that. We tried that a few minutes ago, right? We tried. Let's go back to a sine wave. It is set to retrigger. I guess we could turn that off, and mm, but then we randomly hit somewhere in the middle. The little R up here is the retrigger button, and that's what we would want. I think in Serum that's called what, anchor or something like that. Um, I'd have to look, but okay, I think we got kind of close there. Again, I don't think we have that second oscillator. I think we're using just our. I don't even think that LFO is in there. It's side chaining. Um, yeah. Let's double check. Let's listen back again. This is one of those deceptively simple sounds. Yeah, see, now that sine wave almost sounds too cool. Especially if we turn that drive off. Sounds a little too simple now. So I think somewhere in between the sine and that sawtooth wave is really where we want to fall. Yeah, kind of stays the same through that track, right? 16ths on the LFO. Interesting. I wasn't hearing that. Let me listen one more time here. Yeah, could be. I think we could have like a 16th note, very very subtle LFO. Could even do that with our sine wave or something. Um, sounds more like eighth notes to me. Something like that, maybe. 16? Hey. It would be this plus side, a little bit of side chaining, I think. Good point, Michael. That is the name of the song. Too simple, right? But that's what works in house music. You got if you're not keeping it simple, then you're doing something wrong, right? It's not about complexity. It's not about one-upsmanship. Like sometimes dubstep can feel, dubstep and trap and these styles sometimes feels like we're competing for the craziest sound or the craziest beat or whatever it might be. And house music is a different beast, right? It's the simplicity that is the secret. That is the special sauce in the music, and it's much more a music about feeling than it is about let's sucker punch the crowd in the face like dubstep sometimes can feel. Um, all right. Well, any questions? Any more thoughts? I think we've got a few more track ideas in the hopper for next time. Certainly, was this useful? Was this fun? Um, I think you guys. The challenge has been offered. Bring me stuff, and we will do this more. And the weirder the sound, the more fun I think we can have with it. It's really fun for me to do this with you guys, feeding back and giving some ideas in here. And we're reverse engineering these things together, and that's half the fun of it. And so, yeah, let's see. Maybe I will go back and cut out these track parts. We'll see what comes of this. I wonder if YouTube will even hear them. If it does, it will warn me, and it'll probably take them out automatically. And if we do that, then who knows? Maybe I can even reach out to Joey Beltram or something like that if it all falls apart. Um, so yeah, and the more we do this together, the more the process starts to become a little bit easier to consume and understand and do on your own. I have to say a couple of tips just to get into this direction. There's a reason why every synthesizer, for not every synthesizer, but these days every synthesizer has our basic wave shapes built into them. And these are kind of our landmarks that we look for when we're comparing other sounds, um, uh, uh, blah, 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 when we're comparing other sounds to the ones that we're trying to make. Um, Good question, Brian. We're, we're going to find out with this video. I think this is going to be a canary in the coal mine kind of video here. So we're going to see exactly what YouTube does about this. I'm not necessarily keeping up my hopes, but another way that we can do this in the future, if it all falls apart, is I will again just send you guys the links. I sent you guys the links for the second one, right? Yeah, I think so. We'll go through these. I'll send you guys the link so you can listen on your own to the timestamp that we're going for, the sound that we're trying to remake. And when we go back and forth, I'll just mute the sound or something, and we'll do the thing. So we'll see what happens. The YouTube algorithm is going to decide. It's going to go through and process this now. So we'll see what it says, and yeah, We'll see if Universal Music Group gives me some shit. I don't know that they're in any way related to any of these songs, but they seem to be the ones who uh, get uh, the hardest ass about this stuff. So we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, so maybe next time we'll talk a little bit more. Next time we do this, we'll talk a little bit more about like the basic tenets of sound design, the what I call the three, and maybe it's not just me who calls it this, the three pillars of sound design, really the four pillars of sound design, and how we can use those things to start to demystify the sounds that we hear. Some of them are going to be difficult. Dubstep sounds, Christian, I did get your message, and we will do that dubstep sound next time. But you know, the weirder, the more wonky the bass, the more we might be getting into, or not just bass, other sounds too. The more we might be getting into frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, things like this. But this is the benefit of doing this stuff together and trying to get these sounds going together. Next time we'll try for Serum. We'll see what we can get out of Serum. Oh, it was House. Okay, well we'll do that House next time. And if you guys have any more sounds that you come up with this week, any more tracks that you hear and you're saying, okay, that's the sound, I want to make that. That's going to be the thing. Write it down. Write down the time. Find the YouTube link if possible. Send us the like the you know the if you can send us the YouTube link with that time, you know, to jump to that time, so to speak, then that makes it even easier. Um, so hey, that's a couple for today, and next time we'll do some more. Keep them coming. Send them to me on Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, wherever where you can send them to me on the YouTube community page, I think. And yeah, we'll keep it on going with these. Hope everybody's doing well. I know it's crazy times. I think we're all little bit or a lot bit tense right now, and hopefully we can all make it through together. We're gonna come out of this thing with some cooler sounds. Um, I do not personally know Steve Duda, Ed, but I do have Serum, and I think next time we'll do all of this stuff in Serum because Wavetable is a little bit boring. But hey, Mark, good to see you. Thanks for coming through. All right, well, thanks again, you guys. Really appreciate your coming in and spending some time with us. And um, yeah, yeah, my name is Joe, by the way. Um, all right, and yeah, go buy some stuff on Bandcamp. Go support your favorite artists. Um, all their sales are going directly to the artists. Bandcamp is foregoing their revenue share, I believe, at least for today, maybe for the weekend. So go buy some music. Go keep yourself entertained, and we'll be back here tomorrow. By the way, we're still doing our our Saturday Mod City show. So come on through. Maybe we'll take a look at this module if I have enough time to check it out tonight. This is the Dot by DNI Pro. It's a Euclidean rhythm and pattern sequencer. So come on back tomorrow, noon. Sunday is our only day off. The rest of the week, 6 days a week, we're going to be doing this. So we're going to get crazy. Yeah, we're going to go into Serum, I think, next time we do this because I know we got a lot of Serum users in here, and that's one of those tools. Thanks so much for coming in, Ben. DivKid, really appreciate it. You guys go check out some DivKid videos. DivKid, by the way, put together a great coronavirus live workshop, performance, etc. schedule for modular synth music and such. So curtains, sorry you missed it, but thanks for stopping through anyway. Always nice to see you in here. And all right, Bandcamp crashed earlier. So many people buying stuff. Hey, I mean, people showing support. That's incredible. And maybe they'll extend their deal through the weekend or something to you know keep the keep the good tidings flowing. So, all right, you guys, be supportive of your friends and family, and even the people you who aren't your friends and family, and have a great rest of your day. Hope to see you guys back here tomorrow at noon. We're doing these every day except for Sunday until the foreseeable future. We're us Californians are going to be locked up in here and for now another month it seems. So uh, you can count on that. In 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks or so, I probably will end up starting back up at school. So the schedule might change then. We'll deal with that when it comes. But yeah, all next week, Saturdays as well. And can't wait to see you guys there. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.